Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Sabrina Daly.
And I'm Isani Biz. Good morning.
And good morning, Isani. How do you do?
I'm good.
All
well
right.
rested.
All right, that's good. Same here.
Yeah.
It is the middle of the week already. I have to
Wednesday,
tell you,
yeah.
I enjoy when we have a Monday off because everything kind of fly by so quickly.
Yeah.
But of course there are downsides because you have less days to get what you need to get done during the week. But ultimately, I'm grateful that we're halfway there to the weekend again.
What I'm most grateful for at the moment is the fact that 1 week ago on this very set was chaotic in terms of doing everything I had to do in municipals.
Yes.
And 1 week later, everything is calm.
Relatively calm,
and
yeah.
At peace.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that.
I agree. You're right. Because the last time we were talking about elections, I was telling you that this would be my first rodeo, and obviously this would be your 100th rodeo. But now I can say I've lived it. Yeah. And it was quite the experience. Of course.
What is one of your biggest takeaways from the experience?
So for me, I had a unique experience because I was able to be both in front and behind of the camera. You would have seen me throughout the day and night working behind the camera in the studio. So that was for me the different aspect that I was not prepared for. And of course, I don't think it's something that you could be fully prepared for. It just kind of happens because you have almost 24 hours of coverage that you're trying to provide. Yeah. With that, though, I will say for me, my biggest takeaway from the entire process and not just the elections was that it takes an entire team. And we should know this already, but you really see it when it's unfolding, that it really does take all the moving parts to bring this product.
And that's exactly what it is, right?
Yeah.
The dynamic nature of covering any large-scale event. It could be a concert. It doesn't even have to be an elections per se. The dynamic nature of it is that there are so many moving parts.
Yeah.
And everyone has his or her responsibility as a cog in the wheel, so to speak.
Absolutely.
But it's with a view that everything comes together to form one unified product, right?
Absolutely.
And so I never get bored when it comes to elections day. And because of that, when there's a lull or when there isn't much to do in any given moment, then I start to feel like, okay, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
How do we measure productivity at this point or what have you?
Yeah.
But yes, that's 1 week ago.
Yeah, we weren't able to discuss that, so that was just our 10 seconds of doing so. But jumping into our What's Buzzing topics this morning, Isani, I do know that one of the most pressing topics that has been trending yesterday, both online and in a newscast, was the tragedy that took place yesterday in Belmopan. I don't think I've ever reported on something like that ever in my career so far, but it was one that I think had a lot of people really somber during the afternoon leading up to the night.
Well, I'll start off by saying this, right? The Belize Police Department has been slow to come by with formal information. It's not to admonish them or their work, but several requests have been made by us in the media for something official to explain what they have so far, even if it's preliminary. And that request has gone unanswered for the most part, which is ironic in a sense because the establishment of working relations between the media and the police department is such that information should be able to be passed on either way. And it's with a view that what we put out there is accurate and responsible. But when we're seeking confirmation, on certain pieces of information that, arrive at our desk, and it's almost as if though we're hitting a brick wall at the department, and then they are the ones that are going to come at us and say, well, you didn't fact check, you didn't reach out or whatever, and we're being stonewalled essentially. But I digress. It's to say that, what happened yesterday, I wouldn't necessarily say was unprecedented, but, in an area where people are gathered to do business.
Yeah.
This is at the Belmopan marketplace, right? This is at the ice cream parlor. Other people are around, buying, selling, whatever it is that they're doing. And to have someone carry out such a heinous act, it would seem from all outward appearances that it was a targeted attack on this family. And while the police department was swift in making an arrest or a detention of the suspect, the gravity of the situation, when you listen to what residents of Belmopan have been saying in the wake of this thing, it came from nowhere. No one would have expected such an armed assault, at a location such as that. And I always talk about citizen security, because when you're gathered, it doesn't matter if you're at BTL Park, it doesn't matter if you're in a restaurant somewhere, you're at church. You need to feel a sense of safety, that where you are, you're essentially free from that kind of an incident. But you never know. Here is this family, a man and his wife and their 2 children. They're at this location, they're purchasing just like any other customer. The vendors are there vending just like any other business owner, and then gunshots ring out and 2 persons are dead in the aftermath of it all. The wife and a child, right? And we're yet to find out the identities of the victims. We're yet to confirm the identity of the alleged perpetrator. And this is why I'm saying the department has sort of been slow in releasing certain information. Now, it's not to say that they're not doing their investigation, and they may be doing so thoroughly, but we live in an age where there's a need to know, right?
Yeah. And
there's a need to sort of satisfy that appetite for the public wanting to know what happened, who it happened to, when and where and why, right? And so it's the basics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think it's important that we remind our viewers that our responsibility as media outlets is to provide accurate information first and foremost. I know that we want to give all the answers or what we think we know, but ultimately, the responsible thing as reporters or journalists to do is to get accurate information, and we can't go based on what we have heard. Of course, we have heard certain things, but
there are a lot of theories floating around out there, Sab, and this is what makes it a bit tricky, because everyone who thinks they know puts forward a so-called motive, and then people run with that. But it's a department that has the responsibility of actually investigating and delving into whatever leads and evidence they are able to gather or follow up on to present a true picture of what happened and why it happened, or the circumstances under which it happened.
I think at this point, Isani, and this goes without saying, this is a huge black eye for the country again, because of the mere fact that these are tourists, as I understand. And I can't imagine the media outlets, the international media outlets that are running with stories like this, other tourists that are looking to Belize as a possibility of visiting and thinking, will this happen to me? And I'm hoping that we're able to get further answers so we can be able to provide a clear picture of what exactly took place, and to not have future tourists feel like if they enter Belize and they shop at our local market, that this will take place.
I understand and respect fully what you're saying. I'm just grappling with the idea in my mind that this apparently being a targeted attack could have happened to any family. So to say for instance, that it's a black eye on our tourism product or what have you. I'm not sure. I mean, we've seen where hired guns have executed people out in the open where other persons are. And we don't necessarily look at that as something completely different and separate and apart from what happens to a visitor per se.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, as I mentioned earlier, it has more to do, in my opinion, with citizen security to ensure that persons feel safe, right?
I agree.
Visitor, resident, whomsoever.
Yeah, I think you're right. Your statement of citizen security really offers more of a blanketed idea of what the problem is. I think, though, what I do want to bring in is a conversation that we've been having seemingly every year. And I don't know if it's just a coincidence, Isani, but it's really hard to report on these cases of violence against women during the month of International Women's Month. Of course, we would have been reporting on what took place over the weekend with Stephanie Lindo Garbut, and now another case of violence against a woman. Of course, this wasn't targeted specifically to her only, but ultimately it is a woman being harmed. And I'm hoping that we could see less of these. Of course, it would be perfect if there not any more reports of these in our newscast as well.
Well, again, you're perfectly right. I'm extending it, I'm broadening it just to include the woman who was killed in Libertad 2 weeks or so ago.
Yes.
So I'm not
Yes, I
solely
mentioned that
limiting
yesterday.
it to International Women's Month. I'm simply saying, look, within the past 3 weeks, we've had a woman on average being killed once per week. And so we have 3 so far. And it seems alarming, or it is alarming actually, because we don't normally, have these kinds of incidents where we're looking at a situation where, wow, last week we just covered a woman getting shot and killed, or the week before a woman was butchered inside her house, and now this week a woman and her child are executed in broad daylight. These things aren't normal for us.
No, it's not. But of course, as we've been mentioning, as we get further information from the authorities, we will be providing them, of course, on both of our media outlets, in our newscasts, and as well in our morning show. But moving into more positive news, I forgot to mention this yesterday, Isani. Belize was able to make a big streak yesterday in the world of pageantry. Not yesterday, over the weekend, I should say. Elise Gayon Vernon, who came here on our morning show, I believe you were with me when she stopped by.
May have been Paul.
May have been Paul. But she represented Belize for Miss World, the Miss World pageant, and she placed, and that is the first time since Belize made its presence on that stage that Belize has placed. And I just have to say, from us here at Open Your Eyes, we're so proud of her. I remember hearing her story. I believe our colleague, Anlin Apollonio, did a story on her where she spoke about a bit more personal details about herself, being a farmer girl who was interested in pageantry, and now being able to actually come back. I believe she came back yesterday from India, and actually saying that she was able to put Belize on the map by she placed in the top 40. So congratulations to her. I'm hoping that we can see her sometime soon to hear what that experience was like.
Good stuff. Advancements in the world of pageantry.
Yeah, and I know that we are set to have our Miss Universe Belize pageant just next month, I believe. That is set to take place. So hopefully we can see another opportunity of our women, our Belizean women, making a mark in these. What do they call it? The Olympics of pageantry?
The Olympics of beauty.
The Olympics of beauty. But yes, that does it for our What's Buzzing conversation. And if you have any ideas of things that you think are trending and you'd like for us to talk about it, let us know in the comments. We might just bring it up in our next What's Buzzing conversation. Moving now into our eye opener, and our eye opener is taken from dailyom.com. And Isani, why don't you take it away this morning?
Sure. It goes as follows. Just as there are people that support us, we are a supporter to many people, extending the cycle and giving back. Behind each of us stands at least one supporter. In some cases, our supporters are the people whose help allows us to do the things we're best at, see to our obligations, or pursue our dreams. In other cases, our support may come from the people who are there to help us through life's challenges by offering us their strength and bolstering our spirit. We have always had supporters around us, whether we notice them or not. No matter where the support comes from, few of us can make it through life without assistance. As we take the time to acknowledge everyone that has ever supported us, we can't help but feel grateful. Understanding our place in our human support system helps us to see that just as there are people that support us, we are a supporter to many people. By gratefully accepting the expertise and assistance of our supporters, we can consciously and more easily build a life that we love. We all need each other's support to thrive in this world. Sum it up in one small sentence. No man is an island.
I was thinking that. I almost said it. No man is an island.
Is an island.
That is exactly what I was thinking. And I think for me, what also this eye-opener speaks about is even if you're not sure if you're being a support to someone else, I think we are always being a support to at least one person. It does not have to be in a grand way. It can simply be by words of encouragement. And I don't take that for granted. For example, I know a lot of times we have our commenters in the comment section lending their support to guests that stop by on the show, to even our hosts as well, talking about the conversations that are had on the set. So I think there's always support being lended, big or small. And ultimately, it goes back to what exactly you just mentioned. No man is an island.
In life, we're faced with so many different scenarios, right? Challenges, some we overcome, some we buckle under. But it's the idea of having the right support system. As I've always mentioned, be it moral, financial, emotional, spiritual, physical, and otherwise. We always have to create that sort of ecosystem where we're dependent upon each other for various forms of support.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think makes the eye-opener particularly special.
All right. Well, let's see what special we can expect. As it relates to the weather, we have with us forecaster Francisca Wellington on the line. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks too.
Alrighty. Well, what can we expect as it relates to the general situation this morning?
Okay, guys. So we're heading back into warm and dry conditions, and with that, we'll see sunny skies, a few cloudy spells during the daytime, and partly cloudy skies tonight. We won't be seeing much rainfall.
I can tell that there. It looks pretty clear on the screen. But what kind of temperatures can we expect?
Okay, along the coast, we're going in for 88, inland 93, the Maya Mountains 80. And tonight, we're seeing 81 along the coast, 73 inland, and 67 up in the Maya Mountains.
And our extended outlook, what are we expecting on Thursday?
Okay, guys, we're seeing similar weather conditions.
Okay.
Not much change for the next couple of days.
Well, we do know that where we're approaching the dry season, so I think we all expect it to be warmer. But thank you so much for the update, as always, Ms. Wellington.
You're welcome.
Alrighty. Well, it looks like it's going to be the same as yesterday, and it might be the same tomorrow. It's going to be warm, so definitely stay hydrated and stay indoors if you can. Moving now into our show lineup, I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation that we had yesterday, an extensive talk with the Prime Minister of Belize, and today we're going to take things over to the Leader of the Opposition. In our first and second segment, we'll be sitting down with Honorable Shine Barrow, and he will be talking to us about the elections that took place last week and many more topics.
Our second conversation this morning is all about the Savings, Sun and Fund promotion being led by our friends over at Cellular World. You want to stick around for that one?
Definitely. But we got to take our first break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to the Leader of the Opposition. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
this plan. I can't left this plan. Smart Belize.
Hey there, smart thinkers! We're turbocharging your mobile experience with Smart's powered-up postpaid plans. Imagine a world where your data speeds flows faster than ever. Well, guess what? We've cranked up the dial and unleashed the postpaid power of Smart's lightning-fast LTE data on all our postpaid plans. That's right, no speed bumps, more data. It's like having a limitless highway of data speed at your fingertips. Whether you're a Lone Ranger with an individual plan or a squad rolling with a group plan, everyone gets to surf, stream, and share at enhanced full high-quality speed. Switch to Smart's powered-up postpaid plans today and ride the wave of postpaid power. Visit any Smart showroom or smart-bz.com for details and make your mobile experience smarter and faster. Smart, bringing people together.
I know I can't left this plan. I can't left this plan.
2,251,000 slices of watermelon are eaten by tourists each year in Belize, benefiting local farmers and processors directly. Tourism means business.
Hi, my name is Lincoln Fowers and I work at UMAL. 100% I will recommend Belize Bank mobile banking to everyone because it saves time, money and gas price because gas price is high right now. Belize Bank mobile banking just make life easier.
Our community health workers are truly the eyes and ears in our community for health. They form an integral part of our health system. They have actually been trained in, for example, picking up hypertensives, testing for diabetes, doing health education, improving health literacy in their area, and detecting persons who are ill, and as well following up with that. Community health relies a lot on the support and the technical assistance from our international partners, and UNICEF is one of those partners in strengthening the efforts on the ground. They are partnering with us in building the capacity of these community health workers.
I am the only one work in this community, and my community have 250 households and it's over 1,000 population. So I get up 5 o'clock. I prepare breakfast. And then I prepare myself to go and do my home visit. Every month I have to do 20 home visits to help people, to help other ladies or to help children. Especially in school, I like to go and do the health education with them. It is important to be a health worker, even though it's a hard time sometimes. I find they come like anytime, but I'm ready to go with them and see what is really happening to them. Many children having high fever and then diarrhea. So they have to leave this village here because it's far. And then sometimes it's raining, sometimes the road is very bad. And then not everybody in our village have transportation.
UNICEF supported the government to undertake functionality assessment using the Community Health Worker Assessment and Improvement Matrix. which is a tool for optimizing community health worker program. Some of the areas identified to be strengthened following the assessment are currently being supported by UNICEF with funding from the Republic of Korea. These include review of the community health worker manual and development of job aids and counseling cards to enhance the training and capacity of community health workers to provide relevant primary care services. UNICEF is supporting with evidence generation and knowledge management the critical role community health workers in Belize are playing in achieving universal health coverage.
I was interested to help my community and to educate my community with the disease that we are suffering. 11 years ago, I faced a very terrible problem. I have a son that died from 15 years. He was in food farm. He suffered with dengue. That's why I tell myself when I hear that they need a community health worker in my village, I went to the alcalde and talked about this, that I was interested.
She helped the people, and sometimes they help the teachers, sometimes they help BDF. I feel very proud of her because my wife, she worked very hard, especially like now it's very floody and it's muddy. My wife, she's trying her best.
Well, one of the things that we did recently in terms of community health workers, we have increased the salary payment for community health workers, which were $100 to $500. That is for us to ensure that we continue to have enough health workers in our communities. Currently, we have 300 active community health workers across the country. And as part of our budget allocation every year, we ensure that at the ministry level, there's adequate funding assigned to the health education unit in the ministry. And myself as a minister, we take our community health workers very seriously. And we appreciate the work that they have done throughout this country. In fact, they are at the front line for any issues that related to any health matters within their community. So we give them kudos and we thank them for their service.
And welcome back. We are about to embark on a two-part conversation this morning with the leader of the opposition, none other than Cheyenne Barrow, who's here to talk to us about a range of topics that are developing. Good morning, Mr. Barrow.
Good morning.
Isani. Good morning, gentle lady.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yes, good morning, Belize.
It's been quite an interesting week. We last spoke with you in person on March 6th. Well, at least I did. And you were on the ground. It was elections day across the country for the municipals. I haven't seen you since.
You heard from me, though.
We heard from you, yes, we did.
You didn't show up. You sent your colleague, Paul Lopez. Huh?
I'm stretched thin many times,
I don't want
right?
you to
So you'll
give the
forgive
impression
me.
that I've been dodging you since election day.
I'll take that one. I've been stretched thin.
Okay.
But yes, we've seen the results of what transpired during the recent municipal elections. My first question to you, Mr. Barrow, is whether you've had a chance to sit with the members of your party, perhaps the executive, to comprehensively review what transpired and perhaps what could have been done differently in terms of either your campaign, in terms of either your candidate selection, or the entire process as it is.
Yes, the comprehensive review has been on the way since Wednesday night, last Wednesday night. And the executive has been in constant talks. And it's pretty clear what worked and what did not work. So yes, that has been ongoing, and you know, I'd like to congratulate Mayor Trapp and the San Ignacio Santa Elena team, and put things in perspective.
Sure.
In 2021, we had municipalities, and multiple municipalities that we lost. In 2024, we gained four seats in the Twin Tongues and took control of that municipality. In PG, we're going to court to challenge the result of our mayoral candidate, because he won by 10, then there was a recount, and they found 35 ballots. That's suspicious, to put it mildly. In Belize City, your good friend, Sister B, Denise Barrow, got the most votes of all the UDP area representatives and beat Pretty Boy Pollard by 400, having the greatest margin of victory of all the parliamentarians. So, you know, people like to criticize the gentle lady and talk about the honorable host, but as one of your colleagues put it, she to go host to host. And I believe I'll segue to the analysis, which is still underway. We have a National Party Council on March 23rd, where the results of that review will be presented to the party, and the way forward, as far as the central executive is concerned, will be presented to the party for deliberation. But when you look at the results in Queen Square, that means the gentle lady was doing her work. And I've always said that, you know, it pains me the way that she's bashed and trashed, but she's been doing her work.
She also has a responsibility to sit in Parliament as an area representative.
Responsibility to serve her people, not to go to Parliament to listen to Julius and this one disrespect and,
I don't know that I entirely
behave
agree with what you're saying.
You are subject to your opinion.
When you become an area representative,
but what matters are the results.
You swear an oath to attend
I hear you.
Parliament,
and you also swear an oath to serve your people. So the point that I'm making is service matters, delivering, executing on the promises matters, and that is what we've concluded, that in too many instances, certain standard bearers, they simply weren't doing the work. You have one instance where a standard bearer got elected in a convention and then disappeared, went off somewhere. I don't want to say too many details because I don't want to single out my colleague. Let me draw a scenario. Just let me finish my sentence. Ran off for months, came back, and then did not want to take advice from the senior members of that region. And on election day, didn't even have tables or scrutineers, nothing. How could we expect to take back a municipality from a government that was prepared, that had their machinery in place, and had candidates and standard bearers that did the work?
So as party leader, is there any reprimand for that? Is there any consequence, or how is that dealt with, that particularly?
Of course. You know, and that's what I meant by cutting the fat when I said it on a previous telecast. It's not about the resources. The resources were unprecedented. No party leader of the UDP in opposition has ever provided so much resources. I worked very closely with my party chairman and my vice chairman. All of us traveling all across the country. Alberta August had training after training to make sure election readiness was on target. So the consequence has to be no quarrel. It is not a path of acrimony. It is just reality. I gave everyone, or let me rephrase that, we, the leadership executive, gave everyone a chance, which was a strategic error. If I do accept any type of culpability for what took place last Wednesday.
So it's to say that you would have perhaps bitten off more than you could have chewed. I asked that simply because...
I think that's a bad way to put it.
But you famously said you were gunning for 9 municipalities.
I do believe that that was a strategic error. It's not biting off more than you can chew. It's that everything looked good. And the blessing in all of this is that it is a teachable moment. Thank goodness it is not the general elections, while the pain is that there will be arrogance and further contempt of the Belizean people by the Briceño administration. My colleague was here yesterday talking about he went from no talent or limited talent to know its limited abilities as far as the public officers are concerned. The stevedores are still striking. All these results have done is give the monster of the PUP even more of a mandate to ruin and destroy the country as far as we see it. So that is painful. So the strategic error was in focusing in places where the probability was not as high. Because everyone has a right to ambition, everyone has a right to dream and to visualize themselves as succeeding, right?
Fair, but
the practicality, exactly, the practicality of getting favorable results, moving forward, we have to be real. And so it's a matter of probability. Listen, you think you could win? Fine. Go find your resources. Do your thing, right? Work hard, and we wish you the best. But we think we have a greater probability over here. And that is where the resources are going to be focused.
What municipality did you believe that you would have a higher chance, you would have had a higher chance to secure had you focused more on the area where your strengths were?
Well, obviously PG. PG just needed a little more resources. They won, at least the mayor won. The video is there where Galvez walks out and practically concedes, and then they find 35 votes. But certainly more focused there, we could have brought in the entire slate. Dan Griga, same thing, and Benke, we're going to go to court on that too, because having the Constitution is clear. No one can gain nationality that comes from a country that doesn't recognize our territorial integrity, specifically Guatemala. And it was something that the Barrow administration stopped because of that constitutionality. And it continues now. The 500 people from Melchor voted in the Benke municipality. But the point is, we focused on municipalities where the probability was very slim to win. But it is difficult. It is difficult in the circumstances of a fragile unity, a fragile coming together. Remember when I became leader, we spent a year and months publicly feuding.
Yeah.
Right? There was constant attacks on my leadership, and part of my goal and objective was to bring the party together. So it's difficult to bring the party together and then have those difficult conversations saying, listen, you don't stand a good chance, so we're not going to be able to give you as much resources as you like. So hold on. So I gave everyone equally, proportionally, which was a strategic error. But now I am liberated. I am free from the shackles of that bondage. The leadership executive is free, and we can have those difficult decisions because everybody get and run.
Yeah.
And who delivered, regardless of winning. Look at Belmopan. Yes, Belmopan didn't win. We all thought Belmopan would come through. But Belmopan made a drastic turnaround from 2020, where the era representative lost by 2,100 votes, to now Leslie, which is one of the councillor candidates, came within 200 votes of securing a seat. So that's a dramatic improvement.
Well, Mr. Barrow, I hate to draw comparisons, but perhaps this is an appropriate one at this point. Notwithstanding, you hold a seat as party leader. Mr. Faber was once the party leader. Sure. Nonetheless, there is sober and there's romantic. Romantic, in a sense, would mean that when you famously said you wanted all 9 municipalities, some would say or argue that that would have been unrealistic, given the nature of the situation, that the People's United Party remains a popular organization.
I totally disagree with that. They're one of the most extremely unpopular organizations.
But they won in stunning form. That's
they
inarguable.
won, that was a transactional victory.
Sober,
you look in Belize City, they did not even have a parade because they weren't even sure if they were going to win based on their performance. Their performance is terrible. They're not popular with the stevedores, the caneros, the teachers.
That's equally subjective if that were the case. But if you allow me to continue. Sober, in a sense, would mean that when we spoke with the former party leader, he was more conservative in how he looked at what would have been practical in terms of the number of seats that the United Democratic Party could have garnered. So if you're going 9 and he's saying, okay, we're looking at perhaps 5 realistically, but at least we'd be making certain inroads, when that is put out there to the public, one could argue that, okay, well, maybe you made a rookie mistake as a political novice versus someone who has been there for over 20 years and he understands how politics at the local and at the general level stands.
You know, the attempt to try to pit me against my colleague,
it's just an example based on an observation.
It's unfortunate. It is regrettable on your part, and that has been the problem for the last 2 years, is this attempt to divide and conquer the UDP. We are a team. We all sat there. We all sat there in the National Party Council, in the Central Executive, when decisions were being made. And Patrick was there too. And nobody said, oh, hold on, wait, no. Definitely you can't get this one money, you can't get that one money. This 35, the 4, no way. No one said that. So while he may have been a bit more relaxed, I believe that as leader, there has to be a projection of optimism. There has to be, again, when I remember the village councils. In the village councils, I said, you know, we'll make some gains. I was lambasted by one of your colleagues. Oh, Shine Bar already said that they're not win much. So it's hypocritical of you to, when I am sober and say, well, you know, I don't know. I tried that course. And then it didn't sit well, not just with the media, but then with the public, because then if I don't believe we're going to win, why would the public believe we're going to win? So there's a level of projection that has to take place. And I was able to, in my mind, outline the reasons why we could win in an Orange Walk. What happens after we don't win in an Orange Walk is the analysis needs to take place as to what went wrong and what was the probability and who sold a dream. Again, for me, publicly, it is important to project confidence. It is important that we believe we can win so that the public believes they can win. So I have no regret in having declared that all 9 were in reach. In every election, everything is up for grabs. That is the beauty of democracy. There are always shockers. So I do concede, however, that having made that projection, having given that public perception of confidence, that internally the resources should have been focused on the 5 that were definitely in reach.
So you're in opposition.
But that was a team decision.
Fair enough.
Don't single me out.
Fair enough.
I worked very closely with Patrick. Patrick was giving me advice every step of the way. So don't try to divorce him from the process.
Again, it was
and
simply
talk
an
about
example to
I'm explaining to you that we work closely together. This was not the Patrick and Shine of 2 years ago. He was calling me and telling me, listen, this one needs this, that one needs that. I think you should do this and I think you should do that. And I don't remember telling him no once.
Okay. Let me go in a slightly different direction though. As an outsider, as the Everman, if you turn
and then I just 1 second, right? We made gains. So that's what I'm saying. You shouldn't try to pit one leader against the other.
Fair. Allow me to move on past that then.
Right? We made gains.
Allow me
I'm
to
just
go
saying.
beyond that at this point. So as the Everman, as an outsider, you either turn on your television or you come out into the streets and you look at what's taking place in terms of an active campaign and the political ads and what have you. Clearly, the PUP was flush. They had money to spend and so on and so forth. But on election day, at least in Belize City, where I was stationed, I drove around, I provided most of the coverage across all 10 constituencies, and I did not see the presence of UDP supporters on the ground at the respective polling stations or elsewhere, the way I saw PUPs. And I'm not talking simply about blue shirts, because we all know that aspect of party politics on the day. I'm talking about familiar faces who would man these particular stations on behalf of their respective parties. The UDP, from my observation, was severely lacking where that was concerned. What explains that?
Well, that's a part of the analysis. If colleagues are telling you they have it under control, it certainly wasn't resources. You know, you talk about flush, talk about ads. I advertised as much on Channel 5 as the PUP. We were going ad for ad. So it wasn't resources. And colleagues got the resources to bring out the supporters. But Shine Barrow or Patrick Farber or the leadership executive cannot be in each of the constituencies. That is a responsibility of he or she that wants to be an area representative, that is the standard bearer. And so that is a part of the analysis, to see who delivered, who brought their people out, and the numbers don't lie, right? The numbers don't lie. And so we look at the numbers and we look at what you're saying as far as the normal people coming out, but that is not, people don't just magically appear on election day.
They have to be mobilized.
You have to have an infrastructure in place to organize and mobilize your people. And that is not the leader. The leader doesn't give a speech and everyone is like, yes, I'm going out. No, if you notice how we ran the campaign, in all of the ads, in all of the messaging, it wasn't about Shine Barrow. It wasn't about, you know, our strong area representatives. It was about the municipal slates. It was about the national issues, the local issues, and our standard bearers, according to the Constitution of the United Democratic Party, they have a responsibility to organize and to mobilize their people. And if you're effective in doing so, then people will come out. That is not a resource thing. They did not lack resources. Maybe they lack support. And that is the analysis that we're doing now.
Have you had a chance or an opportunity to do any form of introspection with respect of your leadership thus far? I ask simply because sometimes we don't necessarily look at how the war is won or lost. We look at the person who's at the helm of the conflict and to see how organized or how strong or effective their leadership skills are.
Yes.
In this particular case, have you had any chance to look inward and say, maybe I should have approached differently or employed a different strategy or what have you?
Well, I think I conceded my strategic error in focusing where I should not have focused. And that was not due to being a neophyte by any means. That was due to trying to keep the party together, unified. Again, you speak about Patrick. He and I discussed this. And he told me, you know, I have to tell you that you couldn't have done it any other way, because had you not included those municipalities where the probability of winning was slim, it would have disrupted the party, because then we would have had a public feuding and colleagues would have been out there, and that would have damaged the overall party. Yes, so obviously every leader has to continue to evolve and has to continue to grow and has to continue to receive constructive criticism. But in this instance, I continue to look within. I continue to look in the mirror. But I worked with a team. This was not the shine show. Alberto August, again, was right there next to me for budget, for everything. There was not an advice that he gave me that I said, no, I want to do it my way. Same thing with Patrick. I'm the one that brought Patrick on and said, listen, what do you need? Let's, do the city together. You take these constituencies, go down south for me. When you're in Cayo, call a meeting. We worked together. So it wasn't a matter of, and again, I think that was more important than anything, I don't mean to cut you, was bringing the party together and not, making a bunch of unilateral decisions. We did it together. Now what needs to happen is we all need to take accountability, just like I'm saying as leader, yes, I should have put my foot down and said, you know what, while publicly I'm saying we can win everything, it's not probable we need to go here, which is what I'm doing now. But due to circumstances, I was held hostage to unity.
So on the point of accountability, as you mentioned, an analysis is currently underway where the post-mortem of the election, you guys are trying to figure out what went wrong and how can we fix it. We have also been talking about the general elections set to take place next year. Are you prepared to have that same analysis should you not win on yourself?
Well, my position, which I've, taken, is that if I don't get 16 seats, if I don't get between, I don't know if it's 10 or 12, I said 10, 16 seats, I would step aside and allow the party to elect another leader. I would tender my resignation if we don't get 10 to 16 seats in the next general election.
In all of this, I'm not hearing Tracy Panton's name in terms of her playing a critical role in the campaign effort. And in much the same way you've mentioned Mr. Faber's name, I'm almost certain that you have perhaps Sugar Pat in the north who would have been responsible at some point to mobilize and get
you mentioned Patrick's name.
Yeah, but
no, come
you
on.
Mentioned Patrick's
Yes,
name, you
because
mentioned Alberto's name,
yes,
right? But
yes.
I'm certain that there are other persons who were equally as instrumental.
All right, so you jump from Tracy to Ugo. I don't know, finish your thought. I mean, not
it seemed as if though by me mentioning Mr. Faber's name earlier, it struck a nerve with you, and I'm trying to move away from that.
No,
it was only an example.
Why are you hunkering down on that? I'm saying you are the one.
I the mover.
You are the one. No, but you're going into other
I'm
colleagues.
simply saying I'm not hearing. Okay, so in Belize City, for instance, right?
Yeah.
You have 10 constituencies, right?
Yes.
But you only have 3 area representatives, yourself included.
No, we have 4 area representatives.
4, I'm sorry, with the inclusion of Sister B. You're right. You have
the top,
4.
The top vote getter.
How could I overlook?
The biggest
my
margin,
apology,
yes. Yeah.
mea culpa. But I'm saying, right?
She actually had an opponent. She's the only one that had an opponent.
Yeah.
The rest of us
but we're not,
had no opponents
we're
in the
not
city.
hearing about the efforts of the other persons. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at.
No, you mentioned someone particularly. You said Tracy.
Yeah.
Tracy has a foot problem. She is I think she's leaving the country shortly to go have surgery. So she focused on Albert's, but I supported her. I did as best as I could to make sure that she had the resources that she needed. But we did not work on the wider city and the wider country the way that I did with Patrick. Certainly Ugo and the regional leader, Antonio Herrera, you know, they worked very hard over there in the north. And in the south, we had Norman Usher, the regional leader for the south. So there, again, it's a team. I think I mentioned that, forgive me if I did not name every team member, but you specifically said why I didn't mention Tracy is because she did not play a bigger role than her constituency. She focused on Alberts, and as I said, she has an injury, so maybe that played a role, and did not want to burden her to carry more than she could based on her limits. Not that she has limited abilities, as my colleague said last night or yesterday.
We want to take a quick break. We appreciate where the conversation is going, but we do have to take a very short break.
Sure.
And when we come back, we'll continue.
Sure.
Hello, friends. I'm Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "And Jesus said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never thirst, and shall never hunger. And he that believeth on me shall never thirst." Today, people are hungering and thirsting for a fresh word from God. And yet, sometimes I fear that today's preaching is designed more to make people feel good than to satisfy their hunger and to quench their thirst. Helmut Tillich tells the story of a man walking down a street in Hamburg, Germany one day when breakfast was just a memory, and of seeing a sign in the window that said, "Fresh bread for sale." He was hungry and could almost smell the bread. He turned around and went into the store and asked for a fresh slice of fresh bread. The owner said, "Oh, we don't bake bread here, we just make signs." Sometimes I feel the church is better at making signs than baking bread. They are better at marketing their church than they are at presenting Christ, the bread of life available to the hungry. May the hungry find their way to our churches seeking bread and not leave disappointed, but leave satisfied because they have found Jesus Christ, the living bread. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
I'm David Humes, this is Vanessa Humes. We own Ladyville Cool Spot. Belize Bank save us a lot of time. Working with them, we can keep track exactly what we spend. We recommend Belize Bank 100% because we don't have to go to stand up in line, and we can check on our account right from our house. Working with Belize Bank is the best.
This spot is dedicated to the parents who haven't slept for 5 nights. Inhale and exhale. Because in between chaos and peace, there is Nutribomb Infant Cereal, enriched with all the nutrients your baby needs for healthy growth, making your baby's first food of choice a moment of happiness for him and calmness for you. Nutribomb Infant Cereal, moments that nourish. Find all 6 flavors at the best price in a supermarket near you.
I will tell them, say, hey yo, seguimos avanzando. Watch out now. Everybody know when you a champion. Champion.
I therefore hereby declare the winner of the San Pedro elections as the PUPC.
Everybody know what they do, that's a champion. Ronda a champion, Marina a champion, Janya a champion, Ernesto a champion, Adali a champion, Wally a champion, Jose a champion, POP a champion. In a San Pedro, so we need a real champion.
I want to thank each and every one of you. This victory is for you.
Everybody know what they do, is a champion. Champion, champion. UDP both forget sanction.
Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with the leader of the opposition, Honorable Shine Barrow. And we just came off the heels of a post-mortem, really, of the elections, the municipal elections that was held last week, Wednesday. In this second half of the conversation, though, we want to touch really quickly on the budget presentation that was currently underway yesterday and last week. Mr. Barrow, give us a brief overview of what you make of that presentation.
Well, it's more of the same. You look at different parliaments, and by the way, welcome to the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, delegation from the UK. They're here, members of the Labour Party and the Conservative Party are here. I'll be meeting with them. I believe they've met with some of my other colleagues. But you look at different parliaments and governments across the globe who are grappling with inflation, and they implement policies to deal with inflation. I don't see anything in the budget, or did not hear anything in the budget speech, or see anything in the budget items that is directly speaking to inflation and the highest cost of living, which is critical. The quality of life for Belizeans, all governments must see to it that they work to improve it. And we have not seen that from this government in any of the budgets. The only thing that stuck out to me, which I have been saying for the past few years, I've been advocating for healthcare. And I've been saying that the infrastructure budget should not be larger than the health budget. And so I do concede that in this year's budget, finally, the Prime Minister is listening to myself and other sober, objective minds, and so the health budget is bigger than the infrastructure budget. And so I hope to see, I know we have the CAT scan here, I hope to see that the essentials that the public health officials have been crying for, I hope to see in this budget that those monies will go to providing all of the basic things that the public health facilities need.
What do you make of the expansion of the National Health Insurance? It's been this administration's objective to be able to expand NHI across the country. And they've made significant progress where that is concerned. What is your perspective on that?
I don't know how well that is working out. You know, some of my colleagues in the field and some constituents say there's so many hidden fees there that it still turns out to be a burden. And you know, the basic things that they deal with still does not satisfy the larger problem that we have in the public health sector. And so I hope that this budget will be spent wisely and applied to the deficits, to the crisis areas that we have. But I do have some optimism, because that is, everything does not have to be a battle. When we criticize the government, I am not a leader or a parliamentarian that criticizes for the sake of criticizing. I just want better for the people of Belize. And I would like us to get to a point, as with, let's say, the health budget, we could partner on that. That's something that we're prepared to support the government on spending more on health.
What would that partnership look like?
Well, it starts right now in me saying that I am pleased that the health budget is finally more than the infrastructure budget. There's no way we should be spending more on infrastructure than the health of Belizean people. And so in my budget speech, I will be outlining the different things that that money should go to. And so begins the partnership. I would like to see more money go to health than what has been allotted, right? And that's where the partnership begins, because we can agree on that. We can't agree on spending this obscene amount of money on infrastructure that has been in the past. And again this year.
What would be the other areas that you would focus on using this budget? And I ask you that because I remember last year you did a presentation of something very similar of what I was asking. If you were given the opportunity to create this budget, how would you outline it?
Yeah, so I believe that citizen security still a problem. You know, rest in peace to the mother and the child that were executed yesterday
in
Belmopan. About a year since the Ramna race executions. So we still have a problem. You know, if I don't have the tally in my head, but there's been quite a lot of murders since January. So we still need to solve the citizen security problem. And I still believe that, with all due respect to the Commissioner of Police, I think he has done as good as he could do in his service under both administrations, but it is time to make way for new leadership in the police department. And I do believe a cabinet shuffle is warranted to give new prisms a new brain there to see how we can do better with citizen security.
If there were any detractors over the last year or so, where one would say, look, the police department is failing in its duties to protect and serve, and the Ministry of Home Affairs has lost its way. If one were to look at the figures for last year, where they are touting that there was a significant decrease in the number of homicides across the country, right? Perhaps that dispels whatever criticism was brought against the administration and, of course, the law enforcement agency. But if one were to look at what's been happening since the beginning of this year, because we have a habit of, or perhaps not a habit, we have a way of looking at crime and violence as central primarily to Belize City. That hasn't necessarily been the case since the beginning of the year. If you notice a trend, a lot of these incidents are happening outside of Belize City. What would be your observation in respect of that, or your perhaps comments regarding this new pattern?
Again, we need to address the matter, not Belize City-centric. It's a matter of crime and violence, a matter of murders, and has to be accountability. We need to improve the conviction rate, because unless there are consequences to these heinous crimes that take place, people will have no deterrence. So that is a matter that needs to be solved, but there's a lot of demoralization and dejection within the ranks of the police department, and that all comes from leadership, and that all comes from minister to commissioner. And as I said, I don't want to be unkind to the commissioner of police to say he was the worst ever. I won't go there. I just feel that his time has come to an end, and we need to pivot, and that would help to solve the problem nationwide. And I always encourage that more monies need to be spent, because that is a resource issue. We need to look at how we pay our police officers. They're woefully underpaid, and their job to serve and protect, putting themselves at risk. It's quite difficult to do when you're living paycheck to paycheck, when you can't pay your mortgage, when healthcare services are not readily available, and you can't even afford the healthcare services based on the pay that you're making.
It's interesting that you're saying that the members of law enforcement, in this case the police department, they are woefully underpaid.
Yes.
But when you look at the bigger picture, the wage band is as bloated as it's ever been. When you look at the public sector,
that doesn't change the reality on the ground. And I don't work for the IMF. I work for the Belizean people. So to me, our wage bill needs to be whatever it needs to be to make sure that our people have a standard quality of life. That's really the target. The target is to make sure that every Belizean has quality housing, quality healthcare, can afford to educate their kids, can afford a vacation at least once a year. That is the target. That is the Belizean dream. So whatever we need to do, if they want to call the wage bill bloated, I'd bloat it more as Prime Minister to make sure that how are we going to fight crime? How are we going to fight the narco elements if our law enforcement can't pay their mortgages, can't educate their kids? This is a reality all across the country.
I want to segue really quickly, Mr. Barrow, to news that was announced last week, and that was of Mr. Ellerington that was charged for rape. Of course, this was something that was developing for the past weeks. I want to know, what was your reaction to the news?
Yes, well, we all knew who the accused was for quite some time, so I believe it was just a matter of time. And I'd like to commend the DPP for taking her time and not rushing to charge the accused, and the court of law will decide guilt or innocence. As I had said previously, this is not the O.J. Ellerington that I know, and I pray for the victims, and I pray for justice, right? And the courts will decide.
Have you spoken to him? Have you spoken to him since this entire ordeal took place?
Yes. I wished him the best, and we hope that justice prevails.
How does the party view this development, though?
We hope that he gets justice, and if he's not, then we hope that the victims get justice.
In the first instance, he stepped down as legal counsel to the UDP. But on March 6th, he was in San Pedro functioning on behalf of the party during the municipals. How does the United Democratic Party now view this development in respect of Mr. Ellington?
Yes, well, he has a relationship with the standard bearer in Belize Rural South in San Pedro. He actually has an office out there. So he was out there working with his colleague. But he has no official role in the party. That official function of the party stopped months ago when these allegations came about. So he's not an official of the party. We condemn
fair enough.
Rape, we condemn violence against that I accuse you, and that's it. We have a court of law and we have to go through that process, and as I said, myself and the party, we hope that justice prevails, whichever way Lady Justice scales tip.
Let's circle back to your leadership. One of the things that I've been able to gather as a reporter in the field when we're covering municipals and when we're dealing with matters of politics, there's a sentiment, I won't go as far as say it's a prevailing sentiment, but there is a sentiment out there that there are members of the United Democratic Party who may not necessarily be in the echelons of the UDP in the executive and so on and so forth, but they may very well be the ground persons who cast a vote in favor of the party. Sentiment being anyone in leadership but Shine Barrow. And perhaps that affects the turnout of voters who come out to cast a ballot in the favor of the United Democratic Party. How do you look at that? How do you take that criticism as it is?
Isani, the problem I have with that is that may be your opinion. For you
it's
to
not my opinion.
hold on.
These are persons that are on the ground saying such.
But hold on. Channel 5, kudos to Channel 5. They did one of the most comprehensive municipal coverage going all across this country, interviewing all sorts of people, UDPs and PUPs.
And independents and third parties.
Independents and third parties. Yes. Not once did your station report that. So if you said that you, as a reporter, heard that, how come you never hear it with that comprehensive?
Do you legitimately believe that persons would come on air and openly put that out there if they're members of your party, supporters of your party?
Sir, you did not say the executive. You said people on the ground.
Yeah.
So people on the ground could tell you how they feel, right? And I watched some of your coverage, and some of your coverage was brutal. And again, I give kudos. Excuse me, man, make I finish, man.
Sorry, go ahead.
You talk, I talk. That's the whole dialogue works.
Go right ahead.
Your coverage was brutal on both ends. You know, I've accused Channel 5 in the past of being a satellite of Amalia Mai. I have to withdraw that. You know, you guys have been very objective and given equal coverage to all the political parties, in particular the two mass parties. But your coverage of the municipals was extensive and comprehensive. And I am sure if that was the sentiment with the man on the ground or the woman on the ground where it's that, why I had a vote for the UDP, but as long as Shine Barrow did it, and you would have heard that at least once. Sir,
you have heard it yourself
sir, you did not report that in your extensive coverage, so I have to take that as your opinion, and I have to take that, yes, there are people in the party. We are a party that is reuniting. We are a party that is healing. So with all of the bloodletting and all of the civil war that we went through, of course there are people that still have feelings. That is a fact. But to say that that was a factor in the elections, that is ridiculous, because if it was, you would have captured that. You guys went to every municipality. You guys interviewed everyone, and that is not something that we heard. If you were hearing that, you would have asked me about that prior to today. No, hindsight, of course. My adversaries, there are still people who want to be leader. There are still people, you know, who feel like, oh, their choice for leader is the right choice. Fine, that's a part of democracy. So of course everybody want to have something to say now, but I think, I thank God that one of the things that I was able to do is lead the party into the elections with confidence. Nobody was saying, why UDP not ready, UDP want to take on bat. That is not what you were hearing on the streets. That is not what you were hearing in your coverage. What you were hearing is rampant criticism of the ruling party. You said unpopular. I don't know about that. Obviously, they're not as unpopular where people are coming out and they just want to get rid of them. I can see that. They haven't reached, as one of your colleagues would say, I don't want to say the word, I don't want to get in trouble, but they haven't reached.
Reserve that to that media house.
To that media house. They haven't reached there yet. I think they're pretty close. But no, Isani, that is
Do
not.
you believe then that
is not
the unified front that we saw on nomination day, where yourself, the Albert area rep, Mr. Faber, and all the others who are part of the upper tier of the United Democratic Party, was a bit belated going into the municipals?
It was real. And you can't force things before they could happen. And that's why when, some of your colleagues were saying, are you just doing this for the elections? No, we were doing it because it was real. That's how we all felt. We were all working for the victory. And we're still working. As I said, Patrick was one of the first people that I called in doing the postmortem. And the first thing he said to me is, brother, I can't blame you for this loss. I not be one of them people. You gave everything as far as resources, unprecedented. And, some of our colleagues need to be changed. Some of our colleagues need to do the right thing. And we need to narrow down. That was our conversation. And we all know Patrick to be straightforward. And we know that he and I have not shared the best relationship. So you would anticipate that maybe he'd be one of the first ones to say, Uno say, I tell you.
So you expect that he'd tell you the truth?
Of course. That's the only Patrick that I know.
Yeah.
And we have not just spoke on Thursday, but we've been speaking regularly in doing this postmortem. And Alberta August, all of my colleagues, Ugo Pat, so we have to focus on the general elections. And I still enjoy the confidence of my colleagues, where there are people on the ground, UDPs on the ground, that may still be suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome from the Civil War that we had. I will do more to reach out to those people. And I do believe in part of what you said as far as it being belated. It was real. But however, you can't expect that us coming together in the last days before the elections, you can't expect to see the results of that in those elections. But we must continue on that path of unity. We have they said maybe August, they would call elections. That's what I hear some of you pundits saying. Maybe November, so that's 6 to 12 months if they call it this year. If not, we have 18 months if they call it next year. So that's a lot of time to continue with the unity. Which was really active. It was not just a press conference. Patrick and I in particular worked closely together, not just in Belize City but across the country. And that was real. We unified for the purpose of winning. And we're still talking right now, analyzing things, and I'm checking with him, what do you think about this? And he's giving me advice. And that continues. And I believe that is what needs to happen. So that if I don't deliver for the general elections at a certain threshold, where we win, or I get 12 seats or whatever, I will step aside without any malice, without any acrimony, and I will support my successor for the sake of the Belizean people.
Do you believe that you stand a chance to either becoming the Prime Minister of Belize next year or gathering those 10 to 12 seats that you mentioned?
My focus is to become the next Prime Minister of Belize under UDP government. We definitely have 16 seats. We've narrowed it down to 18 seats. I could go as much as 21 seats, but having learned
not to be romantic, but sober.
Sober, we're at 18. Yes, there is a pathway, but that requires, you know, one of the best conversations I had in the last 7 days was with one of my colleagues, and I called her maybe a few days ago, and she is one of the people that doesn't have a high probability of winning. And I explained to her it's not her leadership capacity, it's not her, it's nothing to do with her. I think she's an excellent candidate, which is why I supported her candidacy. But she's up against, it's an uphill battle, it's a steep climb, who the minister that she's up against. And we would want to shift resources in a constituency where we actually have a chance. And my colleague said to me, you know, I'm prepared to make that sacrifice. I'm prepared to make that sacrifice. I will continue building relationships in my constituency so that when there is a crack, when there is a turn, right? Let's look at the long term. Maybe not this elections, but the one after that. I will continue working so that when that time comes, we'll be ready. And I was very pleased with that position.
I like your inference. I'll use another example here to perhaps illustrate the point that you're making. If we look at Lake Independence and we look at other known PUP strongholds, some would argue that perhaps it's best to just have a placeholder there because at the end of the day, that's a losing seat. That's like, for instance, if you look at Queen Square or Mesopotamia from the other side, to put someone there that goes up against these political strongholds, you're putting resources in an area where you know you're not going to get the kind of gains that you would have wanted.
Yeah.
Is that a fair?
Well, that's fair, but for the difference between the municipals and general is there was a pathway to victory in Belize City if colleagues would have performed up to par, meaning it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
So in Alekai, obviously we would not beat Cousin Hyde, but if we got a certain amount in Alekai, a certain amount in Freetown, a certain amount in Caribbean Shores, which we did get the amount that we were looking for in Caribbean Shores, then there would have been a pathway. But certainly colleagues in those PUP strongholds, you know, I believe they will be reasonable and they will understand where the resources need to go. I think the difficulty comes where the probability is greater, and it's not just a straight up Curdell Hyde or a straight up a Francis Fonseca or someone who is a juggernaut in their constituency, and where a colleague may think, you know, I could do it. The party has to make those difficult decisions to say, this is where the probability is highest, and that is where we're going. But it doesn't stop. Our constitution does not require the party to give any resources to any constituency. The standard bearer and their executive team are charged with finding the resources. You should have a women's group, you should have a youth group, you should have a PR group, and you should have a fundraising group in your constituency. And so I am not here to steal anyone's thunder. I am not here to hijack anyone's dream of becoming an area rep. So do the work and find the resources and you know, prove the party wrong. There have been colleagues who have done that in the past, where the party didn't believe in a certain candidate, and that candidate actually went on and became an area representative.
My final question for you, Mr. Barrow. How do you look at your image and your activities outside of Belize versus the perception that Belizeans have of you at home? I ask in this particular context. You have all of these visits that you make all over the world with various political leaders and so on and so forth. And while some may say, well, that looks good on your resume, that you're out there and you're putting yourself out there as a political leader, others at home, some would argue that perhaps it's all for show as a matter of boosting your image outside of Belize. Because there's also this sentiment that you're doing things for yourself versus perhaps a genuine or an authentic.
Yeah, but you see, Isani, like you're descending. No, you're going into opinions like the worst of opinions when there's been no proof of that. That is so unfair, sir.
These are conversations that are held, perhaps
but
not in your circles.
There are conversations that are held about the Prime Minister. And when he comes on his couch, you don't go into personal conversations of people's personal opinions. That is not the consensus.
How do you look at it nonetheless?
No, but that is not the consensus of the Belizean people. That is not what you captured when you did your extensive investigation of the municipal bodies. So you would come with the die-hard PUPs and whatever people may have an opinion on me. That is not the prevailing sentiment of Belizeans.
How do you
I'll tell you,
nonetheless?
No, but I don't allow that to rent space in my mind. I know what I see every day because you are being unfair. I sent you, when I finished my national tour, I sent you all of the pictures, and I can assure you that you did not bring it up on your morning talk. So you prefer to focus on me going out, being recognized on behalf of Belize, because one of the last recognitions I got, no, but not abundant coverage, but look at the way you're twisting some conversation that you heard for the negative, rather than talk about the fact that I am up and down. You go downstairs and look by my car right now. I have a black car that is white, white with dirt and dust, because I drive up and down the highway. Go to every constituency in this country. So as much as I travel abroad, no one travels this country as much as I do, or I would say more than I do.
Yeah.
No politician. So as much as I meet with my political colleagues on behalf of Belize, that is for the benefit of Belize. That is not for the benefit of me. When I was recognized in the South Carolina House of Representatives, which is a red state, Republicans, red state, I was recognized. But Belize was recognized as well. My colleague, the House member in South Carolina, said he encourages everyone to go to Belize because there's economic opportunity. That is beneficial for Belize. That is not to build some image. I have real relationships. People really respect me across the globe. When I go to St. Lucia and meet with former Prime Minister Chasney, when I go to Jamaica and meet with Prime Minister Holness, when I go to Barbados and meet with Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, those are real relationships that are being built for the benefit of the country. And when I travel all around this country, you say nothing. So what you're getting and what I'm getting are different. And regardless of what you and the Prime Minister say, which is
not what I say, sir.
But again, you hearsay is inadmissible in a court of law. I believe hearsay should be inadmissible when we're having these conversations.
It's the platform for me to be able to ask you these questions.
But then you have to be fair.
You
have to be fair. I don't believe that's what you're hearing on the ground.
Well, Mr. Barrow, since we're short on time, we want to give you a final opportunity to mention any last words.
Yes. I'd just like to thank everyone that came out to vote in the municipal elections, and I encourage more people to come out and vote in the general elections. I encourage everyone to continue fighting for what is right, to continue demanding the best from your elected officials, from your government. And I encourage the government of Belize to not take the Belizean people for granted. Let not the municipals inflate your egos, and continue to serve and make this country as good as it could be for everyone, not just the upper echelon.
All right. Well, thank you very much for stopping by, giving us your time. You are a busy man, as you mentioned. You travel all over the country.
No, it's
no,
a fact. But
trust
Isani
me, I'm
would,
not saying
Isani would not say that.
Justice, the time of year is
Isani would not
justice.
say that. Isani
No,
would not
no,
say
no.
that.
I agree with you. Your vehicle does this, so is mine. It's black too, and
No, man,
the
but that,
highway
that,
show it.
Oh, the highway show it. I think I'm going to obstruct me.
No.
All right.
But we take another quick break, and when we come back, Open Your Eyes continues.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So the doctor has given me 5 days off. How do I get paid from Social Security? This is how Social Security works for sickness benefits. First, you must check that you qualify. You must be employed when you got sick. Have made 50 paid contributions. Have made 5 paid contributions within 13 weeks immediately before getting sick. To ensure that your processing goes smoothly, be sure to complete and submit your claim form within 14 days of the first day of illness. Thanks, I get it now.
Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
When the police department is taking firearms off the street, those firearms are not then diverted, but we are in fact destroying them.
Kite flying is fun, but it can also be dangerous. Fly kites safely by following these tips. Never use wire, metallic thread, or wire-reinforced strings. You could be electrocuted. Remember, even a safely built kite can cause a power outage if it gets caught in a power line. Always use paper, plastic, or wood to build kites. Never fly kites near power lines, in the path of traffic, aircrafts, or near highways. Always fly kites with a responsible adult in open areas, in dry weather, and with clear visibility. Never attempt to remove your kite from a power line. Always call BEL at 0800-235-2273 if your kite gets caught in a power line. Belize Electricity Limited. We care about your safety.
Hi, my name is Lincoln Fowers and I work at UMall. 100% I will recommend Belize Bank mobile banking to everyone because it saves time, money, and gas price because gas price is high right now. Belize Bank mobile banking just make life easier.
I'm connected. Yo.
I'm connected.
We're connected.
Create the perfect broadband bundle that fits your style with Smart Connect. With the Junior Bundle, get 50% off your national calls and up to 6 gigabytes of data at no extra cost. Get postpaid added for an additional cost of only $25 with the Prime Bundle. Stay connected with unlimited smart-to-smart calls plus 6,300 megabytes of data and free international minutes. For the family, pay $28.13 more and get the Binge Watchers bundle with Netflix. This bundle gives you 4 profiles with unlimited streaming on multiple devices. Visit a showroom near you to sign up and personalize your own bundle combination with Smart Connect. Smart, bringing people together.
Welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us. We had a wonderful conversation with the Leader of the Opposition in our first two segments. In our final segment, though, we do want to take a quick shift, and we're going to go all the way to Chalk Creek, where we will be visiting their butterfly farm, where they're using butterflies to advocate for insects in general. So check that out. Welcome to a world of winged wonders. Today, we're taking you on a journey to the butterfly farm at Chalk Creek in the Kyo district. Join us as we uncover the secrets to this dazzling but delicate sanctuary where butterflies reign supreme. So what made you guys decide to have a butterfly farm?
So it all started up with a gentleman by the name of Mr. Charles Wright, who was a soil specialist in Belize. Okay. And he actually brought some blue morpho chrysalises from Toledo and brought them over to Chalk Creek. And as any naturalist, he was intrigued by the life cycle and wanted to learn more about the flora and fauna around him. Mm-hmm. And he eventually started up a little nursery program with the granadillo and also the chrysalises that he brought. Now the granadillo is actually the host plant for the blue morpho. So Mr. Charles wanted to find out what was the life cycle of the blue morpho butterfly. And in doing so, he brought along with him, as I mentioned before, the ant plant or granadillo, which is the host plant. So we feed these to our blue morpho caterpillars. The plant itself contains cyanide in there, which protects the caterpillars from any predators, being birds, geckos, scorpions, stuff like that, right? So the first couple of weeks, the first 2 weeks, we will generally harvest very young leaves so that the caterpillars are able to chew it properly. Exactly, yes.
Like baby eating soft food.
That's right, that's right.
All right, got you.
So as they molt and get a bit older, we then look for leaves that are not very hard, but not as soft as this, right? A bit more mature leaves. In the later stages, so anywhere from about 6 to 10 weeks, we can harvest leaves that are a bit harder in texture. And the caterpillars are also a lot more hungry. So that song, the hungry, hungry caterpillar, that's true.
I'm here thinking, so this is the food for the blue morpho. So are we saying that there are specific host plants for specific caterpillars or butterflies?
That's right, that's right. So for example, we have 3 different species of butterflies that we rear at our butterfly exhibit. The blue morpho being the main showcase. But we also have the owl and malachite butterflies. The owl butterfly will, or the owl caterpillar, sorry, will feed mainly on plants in the Musaceae family. So banana leaves, plantain leaves, heliconias, these are the leaves we want to collect for the owl caterpillars. So you have to know exactly what plant the specific caterpillar will eat.
Yeah.
Otherwise we lose them.
Oh wow.
It's quite important to us. Even the harvesting of the leaf plays a part in our sustainability. We will usually prune or cut the plant in areas where it has joints so new shoots can start growing.
Got you.
The plant itself, the granadillo, as it matures, we'll also use it for lumber, so at our woodwork shop. No?
How many blue morpho caterpillars are you guys currently feeding?
Whew, a lot. But we can take a closer look, so if you'd like to join me, I'll show you a few.
Okay. And then I maybe could feed them myself.
Yes, definitely.
So, where are we?
So Sabrina, here we are at our little caterpillar nursery. We already harvested a couple leaves to feed our blue morpho caterpillars. So I'd like to show you how healthy these little guys are.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, there is a lot. So these little ones right here are at the very early stage. They're just a couple days old.
Yes.
So one...
You even have some on the bottles.
On the bottles itself. So you can notice we put a little bit of water in there to keep the leaves nice and moist.
Yes, yes.
So that they're able to feed off these leaves as best as they can. little tiny ones like
They're
these,
so tiny.
yeah, have just hatched out of their eggs.
Oh, wow.
Guess how much eggs one butterfly can lay? Take a wild guess.
100.
Oh, you're good. That's a good guess.
It's good? Yeah?
Think about 150 eggs.
Oh, okay. That was a wild guess, by the way. That was like...
Yeah, so you have the leaves for the very small caterpillars. As I mentioned, the softer the texture is, it's easier for the very baby caterpillars to eat them, no? So I showed you the very tiny caterpillars. Now here, they're already getting a bit more mature. If you notice, the leaves are a bit larger. We don't touch the caterpillars. You got to be very careful not to touch them.
Okay, what would happen if you touched them?
Remember earlier at the Granadillo farm, I mentioned that this leaf contains a poison. That poison is called cyanide. So these little guys have nettles or little hairs on them that if it gets on your skin, it can cause itching and irritation.
Okay.
So they have a very, very good protection from
What
predators.
are these little black spots on the leaf?
So that's caterpillar dung.
Oh!
Every day, hence the reason why we have two ladies that do a great job in here in caring for these caterpillars. Every day these leaves are cleaned.
Okay.
And new leaves are placed in there
That's so
to make
funny.
sure you have fresh leaves for these caterpillars. The different caterpillars come in different sizes also, right? So I'll show you some of the stage just before we take them out of the boxes. This is the stage here.
Oh, yes. These are the
And
class
place them-
project ones
That's
that
right.
we... Oh, you said that.
Don't careful. These are the ones that will be taken out of the boxes and placed into more of a natural environment so that they could live out the rest there.
How old would you say the caterpillar is at this stage?
At this stage, they're approximately 4 to 6 weeks old here.
Okay.
The egg stage will live for about 10 days. In the larval stage, about 10 weeks. And 2 weeks in the chrysalis stage. As they emerge from the chrysalis, the adult butterfly can live for about 3 weeks.
Only 3 weeks.
Don't be sad. They party hard for those 3 weeks, believe
Okay,
me.
got it. All right. They made it worth it.
That's right. They do their best. So, as I mentioned, different species of caterpillars, or
Yes.
different species of butterflies, sorry, the caterpillar size will vary. So this guy right here is a caterpillar for an owl butterfly.
Okay.
Right? So this,
Big already.
That's right. This one now, unlike the blue morpho, relies mostly on camouflage. Right? So
I could see that.
as the leaves of the heliconia or plantain leaves starts to dry, they become brown, just like this caterpillar. So they'll hide inside those brown leaves for the day, and at night they come and feed off the fresh green leaves of the plant. Right? In this case, they don't have to worry. These guys are in a controlled environment, so they eat all day long. Yeah. So the malachites feed off a Ruellia species called the shrimp plant. You're able to take a look at that right there. So we harvest these leaves every day.
Whoa!
You know, everybody has that friend who plays tough and cries for the sad movies.
Yeah.
This is that guy.
That looks scary. It looks like a centipede.
It looks scary, but they're not. So they develop these bright colors to protect themselves from predators also. But they're not poisonous. Come on, go for it.
No.
So these little ones are very vigorous eaters. I think of the 3 different caterpillars, these are the this is the species that wins.
Oh no, Vianney.
That's good luck.
Oh, you see, Naughty in 5 minutes, and she got some poop.
Vianney's the lucky one. Since the blue morpho is the first species that we actually introduce in our exhibit, it's the one that we focus mainly on. So this shows the entire life cycle of the blue morpho. At the end of the 5th instar, or 10 weeks, they start changing from this yellowish red color to a green caterpillar, which we commonly call our pre-pupa or our greenie. At this point, they're they will actually start hanging off a silk that they will spin, and they'll hang out there for about 4 days. Now, what occurs here is quite amazing. These little guys literally digest themselves from the inside out. So with that being said, if I were to open this chrysalis, what do you think is in there?
The caterpillar.
You think so?
And goo and...
There you go, goo.
Ugh.
There is nothing that actually resembles a caterpillar or a butterfly as yet. It's all just goo. And just within 2 weeks, they will reform into a beautiful blue morpho butterfly.
Wow.
As they emerge, The wings are about the size of a nickel or a 10 cents Belize, right? It takes about 10 to 15 minutes for them to fully stretch their wings out and another 2 to 3 hours to dry off. So at this point, these little insects are quite vulnerable. They hang out there until the wings are dried. Once the wings are dried, as I promised you, they party very hard. So they party hard for about 3 weeks, right? They feed off fruit juices, preferably fermenting fruit juices.
They find a partner?
That's right, they find a partner, they copulate for several hours, and then eventually the females then seek out the host plant and will lay close to about 150 eggs.
Wow.
Yeah.
A fulfilled life.
A fulfilled life, there you go. So this is our little enclosure right here. It's a great place for our guests to visit. As they're staying with us, they can come and entertain themselves with butterflies. But we're also open to people who want to visit from outside. We host school groups here. The kids really love it. Their faces light up as they come into this enclosure, man. It's just,
oh, wow.
We've called it the party dome because of that.
All right, well, let's get into the party ourselves.
Go right ahead.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to the Butterfly Party Dome.
It's magical in here.
And this is where all the magic happens, right in here. We have the blue morpho right here. You may be wondering, but that doesn't look blue, right?
Yeah, it's when they open.
When they open up, you can see that
thought.
blue. So here's the question. Are they really blue?
Is it an illusion?
There we go. It's sort of like an optical illusion. They're iridescent. They have microscopic scales.
Oh wow, some parts of it look purple just
It does, right? The way the light hits it. Right? So it's very difficult to find any animals that have a true blue pigment. Ever got a butterfly kiss?
Oh my God, that's so funny! That is so cute!
Check that out.
Wow.
So as you turn them to a profile, they'll also have...
That looked like a snake.
It does, right?
Yes.
There you go. There
Look at this. Look at this. It literally looks like an owl.
Nature is amazing, right?
Amazing. The illusion.
Even such a fragile insect like this develops ways of protecting itself.
Yes.
This species of the blue morpho, as I mentioned, will only live for about 3 weeks. So they feed off these fruit juices. Once they have gotten their fill, they then start finding a partner. They eventually copulate for about 6 to 7 hours. And then the female seeks out their host plant. So she just finished laying that egg. Right,
those are those little...
Those tiny little droplets, or they look like droplets of water. Those are actually blue morpho eggs right there. So within about 7 to 10 days, you're gonna have a caterpillar hatching from that egg. And in the next 10 weeks, we're gonna have chrysalises. And 2 weeks later, the beautiful blue morpho. So as a gesture of our appreciation, thank you very much, Sabrina, for being with us today. We'd like to give you a couple blue morphos to release. Okay. So this is a part of our Wish Upon a Wing program. Here you go. Go ahead. Okay. Right. And we'll do it next to our photo mural here where many of our guests...
We have one last one in
One last one here. Make that wish, Sabrina. Come on. Oh, he doesn't want to leave you.
Who doesn't love butterflies, right? Isani just asked me why I look so stiff, like I'm afraid for the butterflies. I just think they're gentle little creatures and I didn't want to hurt them.
And you didn't want them to hurt you?
Or that. I'm not going to say which one it was. But yes, that's just one of the activities that you can do this Easter holiday. We have a whole bunch of other features coming up of different places you can go and different activities that you can do as well. But we got to take our final break, and when we come back, we wrap things up. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Unwrap the joy of crystal clear picture and sound from Aiwa, the brand that offers you affordability and exceptional quality. Aiwa has a wide range of exceptional products to choose from, such as TVs, speakers, headphones, home appliances, and much more at affordable prices that won't break the bank. Enhance your audio-visual entertainment experience with Iowa. And for your convenience, parts are readily available in country for hassle-free maintenance. You can find Iowa products at your local electronics store countrywide. Choose Iowa, the best in home entertainment and household appliances.
Get ready for fantastic discounts. From now through to September 30th, Venice is having store-wide discounts on tools, paints, appliances, plumbing and electrical products, lights and fans, household items, and much, much more. Visit a Venice store near you to enjoy fantastic discounts from now through to September 30th. Only at Venice. Quality and savings.
This plan, I can't leave this plan. Smart Belize.
Hey there, smart thinkers. We're turbocharging your mobile experience with Smart's powered up postpaid plans. Imagine a world where your data speeds flows faster than ever. Well, guess what? We've cranked up the dial and unleashed the postpaid power of Smart's lightning fast LTE data on all our postpaid plans. That's right, no speed bumps, more data. It's like having a limitless highway of data speed at your fingertips. Whether you're a lone ranger with an individual plan or a squad rolling with a group plan, everyone gets to surf, stream, and share at enhanced full high-quality speed. Switch to Smart's powered-up postpaid plans today and ride the wave of postpaid power. Visit any Smart showroom or smart-bz.com for details and make your mobile experience smarter and faster. Smart, bringing people together.
I know I can't leave this plan. I can't leave this plan.
Welcome back, and thank you for sticking with us. It is Wednesday, Isani, and the week is flying by so quickly.
Yes, we're halfway there.
Yeah, we are halfway there, and before you know it, we're already starting the weekend. But we do want to say thank you to our guest, the Leader of the Opposition, who stopped by this morning and spoke to us about a range of different topics. Of course, we touched on the municipal elections that took place last week, Wednesday, exactly a week ago, and we also touched a bit on the budget debate as well as other pressing topics centered around Belize and developing Belize. So we do want to say again a big thank you to him for stopping by, but also a big thank you to you, our viewers, for sticking with us, tuning in every morning and starting your morning right here with us. It is March the 13th, and I believe that while we are also celebrating Awareness International Women's Month, it's also the month of kidney awareness too. So definitely, I know that this entire month is filled with a lot of activities across the month. It's also Child Stimulation Month too. And I feel like it's flying by pretty quickly. We're already halfway through the month.
Yeah, we are.
Right here, Friday, I want to be PD again. But definitely, yes, for anyone who has tuned in today, if you're celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to you. And if you'd like to give a birthday shout out, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, as well as Instagram at OIE Belize. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow as you open your eyes
To start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
Have a wonderful Wednesday.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.